Welcome, Chris. But Rick, what was the most interesting part of the All-Star Draft?
For me, it was how the teams that were selected by the two captains, LeBron and KD, perfectly reflect the personalities of those two guys. And LeBron in particular, how he built a team among the starters. Because after that, it's a little bit of a crapshoot. But with the starters, they're all guys that are not going to get in the way of LeBron James doing what LeBron James wants to do with this team. I mean, Giannis, no. Giannis is just a go-along. Despite being a two-time MVP, he's going to be happy to be there. Steph, very beneficent superstar. Doncic, great passer. Jokic, same thing. Like, nobody's getting in the way. And on the other hand, you got KD who, like, Kyrie, he's got his own personality, a little bit difficult. Joel Embiid, how would he feel as a potential MVP this year? Is he going to want a little more touches than LeBron might ultimately afford? It just, to me, the two of them reflect, like, exactly where they would go. They took guys in their own persona to build their starting lineup, certainly. So that's the first thing, foremost, that jumped out at me.
I'm not getting as deep as Rick did. I'm going with the obvious, the blatant disrespect of the Utah Jazz. First, we had Kevin Durant taking Zach LaVine, Julius Randle, and Nick Vucevic over Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert. That's number one. Then LeBron joins in and says, I need some size. I got to get some size for Team LeBron. Give me big Sabonis, all right, from Indiana. I'm like, over Gobert? Really? The guy that just got added to the team? And then LeBron, of course, to add insult to injury, it wasn't enough to disrespect the two current stars of the Utah Jazz. He had to go and disrespect the two stars of the past, Karl Malone and John Stockton, and say no matter how good you were, you might as well not even be available for use on NBA 2K or whatever it's called, because nobody picks you. Okay, so, and then it didn't even end there. I don't know if you guys saw, but Mitchell and Gobert were actually both fined today for going off on the referees a couple games ago. So it just went from bad to worse for the Utah Jazz. And I get Rudy Gobert. He's not going to shine in an all-star game. All three-pointers, all, driving up and down. He's not going to shine. But Donovan Mitchell? I mean, I just thought I like Mitchell's game. Apparently, I'm one of the few, because to pick some of these other guys ahead of him was surprising to me. So I just think the disrespect of the Jazz was what stood out to me.
Yeah, I totally agree, Chris. It's obviously the disrespect from the Jazz. I mean, the NBA is big on social media as well, and that's what everyone was reacting to and talking about. They're the best team in the league right now. If the Lakers met them in a 7-game series, I'm going with the Jazz right now. So this could be a little bit bulletin board material. Now, the Utah Jazz aren't necessarily a very edgy team. There's not really a lot of edge in Utah in general. I mean, I've been to Park City once, and I'm pretty sure with the fun I had, I violated like 15 statutes or whatever they got going on there. So, there's not a whole lot going on there to have a little like angst, but I wouldn't have necessarily gone that far if I was LeBron. Now, look, it's LeBron James, and he is not lacking for confidence, nor should he be. But they are for real this year, and they've been building towards this, and they have been consistent. I wouldn't have gone so hard at the Utah Jazz. I mean, who knows? But if I'm on that squad, I'm putting that up right in the locker room and looking at it every single day. So that was the most interesting part of the Jazz. This is why this is fun, right? This is why this format is fun, because whoever gets picked last is always something to talk about there. But this year, them being, two stars on the best team in the league, it's rough.
That was not coincidental. That was calculated, people. And by the way, I'll tell you something else that was calculated, which was my biggest takeaway. The flex by KD and LeBron to not take Joel Embiid. Think about this. This guy's supposed to be the number one, the lead guy for the MVP award right now at this time during the season, and yet he wasn't the first guy off of the board. So that says to me, what? Y'all don't think he's the most dominant dude right now playing in the NBA right now? He shouldn't get that MVP award? It was a flex. And they were on the same page with it because they both had an opportunity to take him with their number one pick, and they didn't. Don't tell me it's because Giannis can dunk the ball and this isn't a style game for Joel Embiid. Don't tell me that. Oh, it's because I like him. He's my teammate and we get along well. So I'm nah. You know what this was? It was a true flex. You're not me, buddy. Both of them was sitting there thinking it, and both of them said it without saying a word about it. They just did it through a pick.
Yeah, it might have been a statement by LeBron, but I don't. KD picking Kyrie, his teammate, and then he picked Embiid. I'm not going to give it that much credence when it comes to.
You take the best player, Rick. You take the best player.
He's going to take the no. He's going to take the best. I'm going to take a role player
with my first pick.
Look, if AD had been available, if AD had been part of it, that would have been LeBron's first pick. That's just where he would have gone. So.
There we go, qualifying. The qualifier and the deflector. They're together. Here comes Voltron. They've come together. The qualifier and the deflector. If he's the best player, Rick, you take the best player off of the board.
I'm about to deflect them more when it comes to the Utah Jazz subject.
Okay, come on.
This is how these guys genuinely feel about the Utah Jazz. They might have the best record. Guys in the league don't look at them as being the best team. Quietly, they look at Rudy Gobert as a big, as being soft.
They're
Joel
the Pittsburgh
Embiid
Steelers
just made that statement for the most part. And so going back, it's always been Utah is that nice little team in Salt Lake City. And, yeah, they got Karl Malone and John Stockton. I mean, LeBron didn't have to go as far as he did of like, I never use them when I play video games. I mean, that's a major diss in itself. But that said, there is that attitude about the Utah Jazz, no matter what their success has been, that they're kind of this special case in Salt Lake City. And especially when it comes to the All-Star weekend and true all-stardom, that they don't really fit, that they're more of like a system type team. They're the maybe the New England Patriots of the NBA, that it's more about the organization than it is about the individuals. And so I think actually what happened is a genuine reflection of the attitude toward the Utah Jazz in the league. Might have the best record, are not necessarily the best players or the best team, and therefore, when it comes to All-Stars, they're going to be bringing up the rear.
Dang. Cold-blooded.
Yeah, I agree with Rick's last two takes. I think LeVar, it was all about KD taking a teammate. Now, LeBron threw a little shade. He could have taken Joel, but hey, it's hard to argue with taking Giannis. And Joy, my thing with the Jazz, I'm not as high on them as you are. I'm like Rick, and I think most of the players and people around the league feel the same way. They're all right. They're all right. And here's the worst thing about it, Joy. They can't do a thing about it. They're not good enough.
Oh, wow.
They got disrespected right there on national TV for all to see. And guess what? They're not good enough to do anything about it. If they meet the Lakers without AD, yeah, maybe they beat them. But with AD, it's a wrap.
They might not have AD.
Well, okay, I'll give you that.
They might not have AD.
If AD's not there, it's a whole different story.
Right now, Anthony Davis, who is completely unreliable physically, they meet them in a playoff matchup right now, 7-game series.
Utah
you
wins.
are picking the Los Angeles Lakers with no AD?
No.
I'm not even entertaining that. No. AD is not expected to be out the rest of the season.
Okay. Well,
now, if you take away the second best player on the team.
A lot can happen in a 7-game series. A lot can happen.
Assuming AD's there, it's Lakers all the way. And even, I mean, the Jazz are trying to win in a way that we have not seen done. Even you go back to Dallas, the last team without multiple superstars to win the championship against LeBron and the Heat. They still had a legitimate all-time great superstar in Dirk Nowitzki and some older stars like Jason Kidd, who, while not in their prime, still were that caliber or that older player who knew how to play, and they had a bunch of good role players around them. Go back to Detroit, 2004, when they beat the Shaq Kobe Lakers. No superstars, but my goodness, Chauncey Billups, Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace, Rip Hamilton. That's big-time talent and guys that were perennial all-stars. We've never seen any team win it like the Jazz. I mean, I can't think of one. Even the Seattle Supersonics in '79.
You said
I wouldn't say that. So
evolving.
they're going to have to take it and like it. There's nothing they can do about it. You got disrespected, and you ain't going to do a thing about it.
The real weakness is it's not Gobert and it's Donovan Mitchell. It's that their wings aren't athletic enough to face LeBron James and Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And, like, that's where the matchups. When we saw them against Philadelphia, yes, Joel Embiid had the big game against Rudy Gobert, but they went to Tobias Harris at the end of those games, and they couldn't guard him. And that's Tobias Harris, who is good, not great, as one of those 3/wing/4s that can play inside or out. And that's the issue, I believe, that is the weakness for the Utah Jazz. So, here's the beauty of this.
Who's paying y'all?
The beauty of it is, if those guys could do something about it, they got Sunday to do it. They got Sunday to make a statement. I'm not counting on Rudy Gobert or Donovan Mitchell to do something crazy that says, hey, you disrespected us, you disrespected me, we're going to show you. I'm just not convinced they have that kind of a game.
Donovan Mitchell has a little more edge to him than y'all are giving him credit for. To be clear, I still think it's going to be Lakers-Nets, but
I'll give you that.
I would be careful with Donovan. He could light it up.